In our community here, we have a Bible study. And for the summer, we are studying the book called Whisper by Mark Batterson. And it's a book about hearing God's voice and the way we can hear God's voice. And one of the women there told a story the other night about her grandson that I wanted to share with you today in your morning cup of inspiration. You know, she told the story because it just seemed like it was so apropos to what was going on in the book, but also it led me to thinking more of hearing God's voice. She told us that she has a grandson that has these terrible temper tantrums. And when he starts going off and starts yelling and yelling and yelling and screaming, they can't go near him. They have to let him cool down and just go off and go off and go off. He says, we can't touch him. We can't, you try to talk back and he gets louder. You try to get his attention. So she said what she does, she started to whisper. She started talking to him when he's going off, but she whispers. And every time she does that, he comes in a little closer. And he's still going off, but he comes in a little closer. And he's trying to hear, but he's still going off. So he starts to slow down. He starts to quiet down. He keeps listening until he gets to the point where they're just talking. And it made me think about God and how he speaks to us if we lean in and listen to him. And you know, over in 1 Kings 19, I was reading 9 through 13, but it talks about Elijah and how he heard God's voice, that still small voice, but he heard it in his head as he was praying. He heard God speak to him, and the word of the Lord came to him. What are you doing here, Elijah? Well, he explained what he was doing there, and he wanted to speak to the Lord. Well, the Lord said to him again, go and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Man, to hear something like that, you hear this in your head, and he went out and did it. I would do it. I think you would do it too. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. Gentle whisper. And when Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. Now, he heard a whisper because he was speaking to God. God said, I'm coming there. I'm going to be with you. He pulled his cloak over his face because he couldn't look at God. But he heard him. It was a whisper. He leaned in. See, God's still small voice we hear. He guides us. He directs us. But he was speaking to him in a whisper. And it's the still small voice. It's like a whisper, but it's in our head. God will speak to you when you listen, when we're quiet, when we lean in. We'll hear his voice. He'll guide us. He'll direct us. He'll protect us. He wants to speak to us. We just need to listen. God bless you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you again for another morning cup of inspiration. Have a wonderful day.